Hi, welcome to a Westlake Porter Library book talk. My name is Chad Stotler and I'm the local history librarian. All the books that we will be talking about today are available at the library right now. You can call us and place a hold on it and we can have it made available for you at curbside pickup. So today I'm going to talk about two books. One is an adult title and the other is a title more appropriate for children. The first book I want to talk about is The Women with Silver Wings by Katherine Landok. This is a book about the women air service pilots during World War II. At the beginning of the war, all the male pilots that were qualified were snatched up by the Army Air Force and trained to fight fly bombers or fighters, and that left a shortage of trained pilots. In stepped a group of women to act as transports, flying planes, at first just single-engine Cessnas around, but eventually they proved their worth and were flying the most sophisticated and fastest planes available at the time, including the fighter airplanes, the bombers, and also ferrying planes to England. This is a very exciting read. It really illuminates this period of our history with the women's Air Force service pilots, and not only the book doesn't end just at the end of World War II, but it continues to talk about their struggle for the next 50 years of getting to serve as pilots. So if you're interested in women's history, military history, World War II history, you'd be well worth your time to pick up this book, The Women with Silver Wings by Katherine Landok. And it's also based on a lot of interviews that were done with surviving pilots at the time. The next book is for children, and this one is by Chris Van Dusen, called If I Built a School. And the reason I picked this one is my daughter loves his illustrations. They are full of color, they're vibrant. Let me just show you a couple examples. They kind of have, in my opinion, a sort of like a 50s retro style to it. So it's just very nice to look at. He tells an interesting story about what's going on inside this kid's head as he tries to determine what would be the best school to build. What would the ideal school look like? So it has basketball courts, swimming pools, a big slide. All of Chris Van Dusen's books are kind of illustrated by him in this same sort of style. It's very fun reads. I think any kid in your house would love to read anything by Chris Van Dusen. So thank you for joining me.
Hi, my name is Trina. I'm from Adult Services here at Westlake Porter Library, and I'm here to tell you about 3 new books we have on camping. The first one is for if you're new to camping. The first one is Sleeping Bags to S'mores by Heather and Will Rochford. This one has everything from how to plan your trip to what gear to take to what to wear, and I especially like the information on games and wildlife. So everything you need to get yourself started on planning and having fun on a camping trip. The next book I have is Family Camping by Charlie S. This one has a lot of information for how to have fun with your family on camping, also backyard camping and planning your trip as well. It has stuff on games also. So, and it also has recipes. And so the first one has recipes as well, but plenty of pictures. So it covers every aspect of going camping with your family and friends. The third book is for the more serious camper or outdoor enthusiasts. It's a new edition of the Survival Handbook. It is by Colin Towle. This is for outdoor camping, handling the toughest challenges that nature can throw at you. survival basics, choosing the best campsite, navigating on the trail, and also tips on first aid. So those are the 3 books I have for you. Thank you for listening and happy camping.
Hi everybody, my name's Erin and I'm the Reader's Advisory Librarian here at Westlake Porter Library. And today I have 4 manga series that I want to tell you about. So for people not in the know, manga is a form of Japanese comic book, and the big thing about them is instead of reading them left to right, like a Western style book, we read these right to left, so kind of like that. It takes a little getting used to, but after you read a chapter or 2, you're going to be an old pro at it and you'll never look back. So to start with, I'd like to mention one of my all-time favorite series. This is Michi Joe, which translates as My Ordinary Life. And it's about a group of 4 schoolgirls whose life is anything but normal. Yuko's a slacker, Mio's trying to draw romantic manga, but she doesn't want her friends to know. And Mai is just bizarre. Then a new girl joins the school, Nano, who's actually a robot created by a tiny mad scientist, like 7-year-old kid mad scientist. And she hopes that nobody will figure out she's a robot, even though there's a giant key sticking out of her back. We have talking cats, a professor who fights a deer. All kinds of crazy stuff happens, and you're gonna love this. It's such a bizarre series. Next up is Tiger and Bunny. This one was actually based on the anime, which is a Japanese animated cartoon, as opposed to an anime being based on the book. In the city of Sternbild, there are people who have superpowers, and most of them get jobs as professional heroes. Kotetsu Kaburagi is one of these heroes, calling himself Wild Tiger, and he has this power called 100 Power, which amplifies all of his skills 100 times over for 5 minutes. The problem, though, is Kotetsu's getting old, and the company that sponsors him as a hero has decided to replace him with somebody younger, cooler, who has the exact same power. Finally, Kotetsu gets them to strike a deal. He'll be the sidekick for this new usurper, Barnaby Brooks Jr., and that way he can still keep his job. The problem, though, is personalities clash. Barnaby is stuck up and obnoxious. Kotetsu doesn't like being looked at as an old has-been. So will these two really be able to work together? You'll have to read and find out. Kami-sama Kiss is a romance and a school story. Nanami Momozono is poor, and everybody knows it. But when her deadbeat father leaves her, and all of his gambling debts, she's kicked out of her apartment and has nowhere to go. So she meets a strange man who offers her a deal. She can have his house for free. He doesn't need it anymore. Weird, but Nanami says yes, and finds out that not only is this man not what he seems, but the house isn't either. He's actually the land god, and the house is his shrine. By taking over the house, Nanami is now the land god. And this comes with a whole host of awkward responsibilities, answering prayers, upkeeping the shrine, and dealing with a very hot fox familiar who wants nothing to do with her. Oh, and did I mention that all the monsters have discovered the new land god is human? And so they want to get in on a piece of the action. So Nanami's also fighting for her life against monsters who want to steal her god powers. And this final one I saved for last because there's slight spoilers to the Dragon Ball series if you read this. So we've all talked about wanting to be in our favorite book series. You hear people who are waiting for their Hogwarts letters or to find the door to Narnia. Well, for our narrator here, he wants to be a part of the Dragon Ball series. And one day he falls down the stairs and he wakes up and he's Yamcha, one of the main characters of the book. There's a problem though. Spoiler alert, Yamcha dies. He dies several times throughout the series. He comes back. But nobody wants to be in his shoes when everything goes down. So our hero decides that instead of chasing girls and doing all the silly things Yamcha does, he's going to become the most powerful human in the Dragon Ball universe in order to avert with the fate that's in store for him. Will it work out? You'll have to read it to find out. And this is a one-off, so all these others are series, just one book. One action-packed, read it in one sitting book, and it's so good. Plus, Dragon Ball fans will be impressed. The art style looks just like Toriyama's. So all of these books can be found here at the library. You can put them on hold through our website or by calling. Most of them have at least 9 or 10 books in the series. So if you're looking for something to binge read, these are some great ones to get started with. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from the Westlake Porter Public Library, and I've got some book recommendations for you today. My first one is called Hungry Hearts, and you can find Hungry Hearts in the YA section, the young adult section. Hungry Hearts Row, where all 13 interwoven stories take place, is home to several restaurants, cafes, and food carts. These stories are written by different authors and feature characters from cultures as diverse as the foods that they prepare, sell, and eat. Gritty reality is the special of the day in some stories, such as Kings and Queens, which is about a Chinese-American family indebted to a gang, or In Moments to Return, which is about a tourist from Montenegro who is crippled with anxiety about death. However, magic and the supernatural lurks in this book, at the forefront and in the shadows of its stories, which feature Filipino witches who serve aphrodisiacs and a Muslim superhero who frequents a halal cart. This book is a reminder that food connects us all and nourishes more than our bodies. If interconnected short stories interest you, you probably would like to check out Sandra Cisneros' The House on Mango Street. Many consider it a modern classic, and indeed it is taught in elementary schools, high schools, and universities. All the stories feature the urban Chicago barrio that Esperanza Cortero and her friends and family live in. Some stories are as short as 2 simple paragraphs. However long the stories, we see Esperanza's world through her eyes, with all of its violence and all of its beauty. She is a child throughout, not always understanding the implications of Mango Street, but she is its faithful reporter nonetheless. Don't let Esperanza's age fool you. She lives in a world in which children grow up fast, and she has dreams that take her far away from Mango Street. Now we're going to talk about vegetables. Do you like to eat your vegetables? Does your family have a garden? Well, here are 2 newer and 1 favorite picture books for you. Goodnight Veggies by Diana Murray and Zachariah O'Horo is a tribute to community gardens, Goodnight Moon, and growing children everywhere. In this colorful and clever rhyming tale, we follow a cute worm, seen here wearing a newsboy hat and sneaker, through the garden as all the vegetables get ready for bed. Why are the vegetables so tired? Because, as the book says, nothing is more exhausting than growing day and night. This is a fun, short bedtime story, or a great way to introduce lesser-known veggies to your kids, such as eggplant or rhubarb. Speaking of lesser-known vegetables, Graceland's The Ugly Vegetables is a charming story about a little girl and her mother who plant a garden of traditional Chinese vegetables. The little girl is embarrassed that her garden is nothing like her neighbor's beautiful flower gardens. This shame is internal. The neighbors make no attempt to bully the Chinese family featured. When it's harvest time, in fact, they cannot contain their curiosity and exchange their lovely bouquets for bowls of delicious ugly vegetable soup, the recipe for which is included, as well as a Chinese glossary. This book is suitable through elementary school ages, and its gorgeous illustrations help portray its poignant moral. At Westlake Porter Public Library, my job is the Special Needs Librarian, and this is a book from our Special Needs collection by Samantha Cotterill, and it's called Nope, Never, Not For Me. What do you do if your child thinks his vegetables are not just ugly, but also bumpy, lumpy, scratchy, or ouchy? Well, if you're like the mother of the protagonist in this book, you get them to become a triceratops and to try their veggies. The protagonist in this book is sensitive to broccoli's look and touch. Mom does not punish him, however, but encourages him to try new things. Does he like it or not by the end of the story? He doesn't, but that's not the point. The point is that trying new foods, he is helping himself without overwhelming himself. This book is in the Little Senses series by Cotterill, which tackles topics pertaining to sensory processing disorder. The author's website and blog has extras that may be useful for parents to download, such as a try new foods chart. The other two in the book are about emotions during playtime and about a sensory experience at the beach. You can find these books and more at Westlake Porter Public Library. You can order them for curbside pickup or find some of them available as electronic